Two wheels, both Alpine, both AOP protected, both made from raw cow's milk, pressed and cooked in copper vats, aged deep inside mountain cellars. Put a slice of Comté beside a slice of Le Gruyère on a cheese board, and most people, even experienced cheese lovers, hesitate. At first glance, they look almost interchangeable. Golden paste, firm texture, nutty aroma. But the moment you taste them side by side, the illusion disappears. These are not the same cheese, not even close. One is French, the other Swiss. One was born from medieval dairy cooperatives hidden in the Jura Mountains. The other became so famous that France and Switzerland fought over the name for decades. Today we're putting these two Alpine legends head to head, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one belongs on your next cheese board and what. Let's start with history, because with cheese, history matters. It shapes flavor long before the milk even enters the vat. Comté is the older cheese in terms of documented French records, dating back to 1253 in the Doubs region of eastern France. Small mountain villages operated communal dairies called fruitières, where neighboring farmers pooled their milk together because no single herd could produce enough milk for a full wheel. It takes roughly 400 to 450 liters of milk to make one Comté. Those cooperatives became one of the earliest and most sophisticated quality systems in food history. Comté was designed as a fromage de garde, a keeping cheese, something that could preserve the richness of summer milk through brutal mountain winters. By the Middle Ages, wheels of Comté were already being sold in Paris at premium prices. Le Gruyère's story begins even earlier. Historical references to cheese-making in the Gruyère region of Switzerland date back to 1115. Medieval chronicles describe mountain farmers transforming rich Alpine milk into large, full-fat cheeses that traveled across Europe into France and Italy. Over centuries, Gruyère became so respected that other regions started copying the style and using the name themselves. Eventually, it led to one of Europe's longest food label legal battles. Switzerland ultimately secured the AOP designation for Le Gruyère in 2001, later recognized by the EU in 2011. France can still produce Gruyère-style cheese under lower classifications, but the true Le Gruyère AOP belongs to Switzerland. What's fascinating is that both cheeses evolved in parallel along the same mountain chain. Same Alpine roots, same cheese-making family. But over 7 centuries, each side of the border developed its own philosophy. Both cheeses come from the Jura mountain region, but terroir changes everything. Comté is produced across several French departments at elevations between 500 and 1,500 meters. The biodiversity of the Jura is extraordinary. Studies of Comté Pasteur identified hundreds of different plant species across the region. The cows, exclusively Montbéliard or French Simmental breeds, feed on wildflowers, herbs, and mountain grasses that shift with the seasons. That means the milk changes constantly throughout the year. A wheel made in July tastes different from one made in winter. A wheel from a high mountain pasture tastes different from one produced lower in the valley. Every Comté expresses place in a very direct way. Le Gruyère reflects the Swiss side of the mountains. Produced mainly in Canton Fribourg and surrounding Alpine regions, the milk comes from cows grazing on lush, Swiss pastures filled with herbs and flowers. But one detail defines Gruyère: aging, spruce wood cellars. The wheels mature on spruce boards that regulate moisture and contribute their own microflora to the rind. The caves stay cool and humid year-round, allowing the cheese to develop its dense texture and savory complexity. Even though both cheeses come from neighboring mountains, the environments shape them differently. Comté feels broader and more floral. Gruyère feels denser, deeper, more earthy. Technically, both cheeses belong to the family of pot pressé cuit, cooked pressed cheeses. The process begins similarly. Raw milk enters large copper vats. Natural rennet forms curds. The curds are cut into tiny grains, heated, drained, molded, and pressed. But the details are where their identities separate. For Comté, milk must come from farms within 25 kilometers of the fruitier, and cheese-making must begin within 24 hours of milking. Every wheel is inspected and scored before it can legally be sold as Comté. Trained tasters judge flavor, aroma, texture, and appearance on a 20-point system. Wheels scoring 15 or above earn the famous green bell label, Comté Extra. Lower scoring wheels receive brown bells. Anything under 12 points cannot carry the Comté name at all. It is arguably the strictest quality grading system in French cheese. Gruyère follows an equally disciplined process, but with different priorities. The wheels are pressed far longer, often close to 20 hours under enormous weight. That extended pressing creates the signature dense, compact paste with almost no holes. The formed wheels then enter a strong brine bath for a full day before aging begins. Every single wheel receives a casein tag showing the production date and dairy number for complete traceability. And one important detail, authentic Gruyère should not have large holes. That's Emmental. Gruyère's paste is intentionally tight, smooth, and uniform. Now we get to the most magical part of cheese making, affinage. Aging transforms both cheeses completely. Young Comté at 4 to 6 months is supple, sweet, and milky with notes of fresh grass and ripe fruit. Around a year old, it becomes richer and nuttier with butter, toasted hazelnut, and dried fruit appearing. Beyond 18 months, the umami intensifies dramatically. Beef broth, caramelized onion, roasted nuts, even hints of toffee. Crystals begin forming throughout the paste, creating that satisfying crunch cheese lovers obsess over. At 30 months and beyond, Comté becomes intensely concentrated and almost crystalline in texture, while still maintaining its signature fruitiness. Gruyère ages differently. Even young Gruyère already tastes savory. At 5 or 6 months, you get rich creaminess, nuttiness, and a subtle cellar funk from the washed rind. As it enters the reserve stage, the flavors deepen into browned butter, sautéed onions, roasted nuts, and earthy umami. The texture stays denser and slightly moister than Comté at equivalent ages. Then there's Gruyère d'Alpage, the rare summer mountain version produced high in the Alps using traditional methods. It's one of the purest expressions of Alpine cheese making left in Europe. Floral, herbal, deeply complex, and incredibly difficult to find. When it comes to flavor, Comté is the more variable cheese. The official Comté flavor wheel contains 83 aroma descriptors across categories like fruity, roasted, vegetal, lactic, spicy, and animal. A great wheel evolves constantly as you eat it. Sweetness arrives first, apricot, pear, citrus, before shifting toward hazelnut, butter, broth, and caramel. The defining signature of Comté is fruit. Even aged wheels retain a certain brightness and elegance. Gruyère approaches your palate differently. It begins savory, earthy, dense. The first bite already delivers browned butter, toasted nuts, cellar aromas, and rich umami depth. While Comté feels expansive and layered, Gruyère feels direct and powerful. One speaks in finesse, the other in depth. Both are extraordinary, just in completely different ways. In the kitchen they also behave differently. Younger Comté melts beautifully and adds subtle, nutty complexity to gratins, soufflés, quiches, and sauces without overwhelming them. It's one of the most versatile cooking cheeses in France. Gruyère, meanwhile, dominates dishes that need deeper savory intensity. Fondue, French onion soup, croque-monsieur, Alpine gratins. Gruyère's boldness survives heat and delivers richness in a way few cheeses can. So which one wins? Honestly, that's the wrong question. These are two Alpine masterpieces shaped by centuries of mountain tradition. If you love nuance, variation, and a flavor journey that changes dramatically with age, choose Comté. It rewards patience and curiosity. If you love savory depth, dense texture, and immediate intensity, choose Le Gruyère AOP. It announces itself from the very first bite. The real answer is simple. Buy both. Taste them side by side. Let the mountains speak through them. That's what great cheese is for.